Thinking Aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with psychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
If you talk about theory of everything, you've got to score a perfect score. If you don't, there's a fault, there's a problem.
Well, most theories usually try to narrow down. If you can have a good theory about, for example, evolution. Biological evolution is a very broad, all-encompassing theory for biology, and but it doesn't attempt to explain subatomic particles.
Yes, exactly. So these are different components, and when you have these theories, this is why when the physicists use theory of everything and they say, well, you know, it ought to link up quantum physics and relativity and gravitation, for example, and if you don't have that, you haven't got a theory of everything.
In physics, that would be the definition.
It would be one way of looking at it, but there's this far broader one. To me, one of the criteria is, do you deal with life? How do you explain life? How do you explain order? We spoke about multidimensional order, which I was calling ordropy. How do you explain infinity? What is communicating in terms of maybe after death? Or before life, so to say, before physical life? How is this fitting in? Are there any little fabrics or memories that maybe are coming through, that are sticking in some kind of cosmic, akashic, or whatever other kind of reality you talk about? How are things synchronizing? How are they meeting? Because this is also a component. And again, the study of so-called psychic phenomena, of psi, terribly, terribly important, because why are rare events suddenly intersecting? Why do one find, or does one find in a lab, that 52% might score a score that they should be scoring 50% on, and others might be scoring 48%? What is that escape phenomenon? What is that rare event happening? Why in so-called mediumistic communications, and please understand in this discussion, I'm not coming along and saying these are validated or not validated. That's a whole new discussion. But why are these scoring very, very high percents in terms of veridicality, in terms of subjective truth of being able to establish these things?
You're willing to look at this, and what you're saying is that any theorist worth their salt ought to pay attention to this area instead of burying their head in the sand.
Exactly, they have to. And if they don't, they're not really scientists. And so we have this whole group of people who call themselves skeptics. And skepticism is very good. That means I'm a scientist and I look at facts and I draw conclusions. But a lot of them are not skeptics. They're pseudo-skeptics. They look at facts and they reject the facts because this is impossible, because, of course, another name that comes up is Thomas Bayes and the idea of, if there is zero chance of something happening, it doesn't matter if you've got 1,000,000,000 to 1 evidence, as we have in 9 different areas of psi. It still is impossible.
Based on your a priori assumption.
Exactly that. So, you know, when you start looking at this in terms of theories of everything, you start saying, well, maybe it's all relative. But on the other hand, to me, a theory of everything needs to say, this is our basis in reality. This is where we are living in terms of our actual experience. Can we explain that?